My name's Ivan Merriweather. I'm almost 75. I was born in 1947. I was born in Yaxley. I grew up in Yaxley and I've lived here most of my life. Um, I was born at the bottom of Church Lane, as it was called in them days, and in a house. It was 2 bedrooms and 2 rooms downstairs, kitchen and a living room, and it was one of a block of 13, all joined together, terraced houses, and the uh, front the front door opened out onto the path, and there's no front garden, and everything had to come through the front door to get to the back of the house. There's no passageways or nothing, and um, we was all. I got
Is this house in York?
yeah, it's actually yeah. It's not there now, but it's all been pulled down. But I got 2 brothers and a sister, and mum and dad all lived in this house, and they got no running water inside the house. There was a tap outside, cold water tap, no hot water. All had to be heated up, and
is this in the 40s, Ivan? Or
47, yeah, 47 when I was born, and all 4 of us kids was born in the house. We never went to the hospital to be born. We was all born, every one of us, in the house. And when my sister was born, she was the youngest one. At the time, it was just after World War II, and everything was on rationing. Food was on rationing, clothes and sweets and everything. So my dad said to us, kids, he said, here's the ration book, here's some money, go down the shop and get yourself some sweets. And when we come back, my sister was born. Yeah, and
wow.
yeah, the house we lived in, it didn't have no inside toilet. The toilet was at the bottom of the garden, and it was in the shed, and it was just a wooden board with an hole in and a great big bucket underneath it, and my dad had to empty it every week because nobody came round and emptied them in them days, and he had to take it through the village in his wheelbarrow to allotment to empty it. He used to put a sack over it to disguise it a bit and put some earth inside it, stop it slopping about, and push it all the way through the village and to his and empty it. Yeah, and bath time. We used to have a big metal bath hanging up outside, and we used to bring it in and put it in front of a coal fire, and then we had to fill it with water, and we used to take the water down to the bottom shed and put it in this big copper, fill it up with water, light a fire underneath it and heat it up, and then we had to get it in buckets and take it back up the house and fill the bath up, and then it was youngest first, my sister, and then me, 2 brothers, my mum, and then my dad, because he was a dirtiest. He worked in the brickyards. He was covered in brick dust and that. So, and then afterwards, we used to get buckets, fill them up, and take them out to the drain outside, and empty all the water, and that was how we had bath nights. Yeah.
You mentioned about the rations. Your dad would give you some money to go get some sweets. What kind of things could you get from rations?
Well, money, you couldn't buy sweets or groceries unless you had the coupons, the ration book for them. Like, you couldn't just go and buy cheese or butter. You have to have, you're allowed so much a week, and you had the coupons for them, and you had to hand the coupons over to get the, and like you was allowed sort of 4 ounces of butter a week, and so much cheese, and so many pints of milk a week. Everything was on rationing. And if you was having a wedding in the family, you had clothes coupons, and you wouldn't have enough for a suit or a wedding dress. So family and friends would all have to give you their coupons so you can go and get married and that, get the stuff to get married. It was, that's how it was in them days.
How long did that last for? Did that go on into the 80s? Then, sorry, into the 50s?
No, it was 47. I think it come off in the 50s, I think, early 50s.
What kind of sweets could you get on ration?
Well, you could there was lots of different sweets in that, like you got today in that. And
what was your favourite?
Probably those blackjacks and fruit salads and that we used to buy. We used to get 4 for a penny. Yeah, you could get hundreds for £1. Yeah. Like Mars bars used to be, when I was little, there was about 4p each in old money. And Milky Ways and that, they was about 2p each. That's old money. Cheap, but you didn't earn big wages in them days. Most of the employment around Yaxley was the brickyards and farming, and there was cooks, agricultural engineers. They was at the west end of the village, other end, and they made potato handling stuff and potato sorting stuff, and elevators, famous for the elevators, and sack winding stuff. They employed quite a few people.
And your dad worked in the brickyard?
His dad works in the brickyard, yeah. My brother and 2 older brothers, they worked there as well, yeah.
Did he work there his whole life? Or?
Yeah, he got his 50-year medal, and they gave him the carriage clock for his 50-year service. The only time he did miss 2 years, but that was when he was fighting in the war. But they counted that as his 50 years service. So yeah, I got a watch for 21 years service, gold watch, and the watch and the clock, they come from Gerard's in London, the jewellers and that. Yeah, so you're pleased with that. Yeah.
Did he ever discuss his time in fighting in the war with you?
No, he didn't. The only things he said, he was in a Searchlight unit, and he used to shine the searchlights on the planes, so he had to know all the types of planes and recognise them, whether they're British or German and that. And he said one time, and they put the light on, and the sergeant looking up, he says, "Douse the beam," he says, and there's ducks going over, not planes, ducks. So that's the only thing he ever told me about the war. He was in Egypt and the Sudan and that. And yeah, but he didn't tell me anything about fighting and things, no.
Do you remember it being quite tough when you sort of growing up, because you were growing up in the post-war times? Was it quite tight with the rationing and things?
Yeah, it was in the early days, yeah, and that the rationing and that, you didn't get very much, but we survived. Yeah, we had enough. And Dad had me allotment and that, where he grew vegetables and that, so we managed with them.
How was school?
School, I started when I was 5 years old at school, and it was pretty good. I went to the infant school in the village, which was part of a girls' school, and I remember when I was 5, I saw my first television there. The local television company, and they sold all electrical goods in the village. They provided the school with a 13-inch television, a black and white one, and it was the occasion of the Queen's Coronation, and we all, about 100 kids, sat round and watching this television. It was a little green flickered screen, and we could see the carriages and the horses going by, and the putting the crown on the Queen and that, the coronation. Yeah, that's my first experience of television. And then again, I didn't see it for ages after that, because we hadn't got a television at home. We bought one. We was one of the first ones in our street to have one. And all the children used to come round after school and watch kids' programmes.
What used to be on TV back
then? We used to be Lone Ranger and little Zorro and things like that. And in the evening there was things like Coronation Street and programmes like that. The news used to be 5 minutes at 6 o'clock. It didn't come on any other time of the day, and that was enough news. You didn't, like now, you get it for hours and hours, and they go on and on and on. But yeah.
How many channels were there?
2, BBC and ITV and Anglia Light. And you used to, after, if you wanted to change channel, you used to get up and pull the aerial out the socket it was in for, say, ITV, push it in the other one for Anglia, get connected up to the 2 aerials you got on the roof, and then you have to change the channel on the TV, and that was it. No remote controls like nowadays. Yeah.
Did you ever like fight with siblings over who's watching the TV?
No, there's only 2 channels, so and then much to choose from, and my parents sort of decided what we're going to watch anyway. So yeah, and when I was little, there was I think I was about 6 or 7. There was no cars in the street whatsoever. Nobody owned a car. No, and it was buses or bicycles, and in Yaxley where I lived in Church Lane then. There was a bus come down the lane about every half an hour, and we could play football in the street, and you were watching out to see if a bus would come in. But other than that, it'd be horses and carts, and the one car that used to come around was a taxi, and that belonged to Bridgeford, and that was all there were. So you could play on the street, and you could hear the cars coming and that, and the horses clip clop, so it was all right. And used to play with my friends out there.
What were your parents like? Were they quite were they disciplinarians or?
Yes, if you did wrong, you wait your dad come home and he got his belt out here. But it wasn't malicious. It was just correction, and you respected him for that. And you knew if you'd done wrong, you're going to get corrected, and you learnt respect. And you didn't do it, you was careful what you'd done, and we used to respect our neighbours and that, and Mr. and Mrs. this, Mrs. and you didn't cheek anybody, and because you knew that you'd be put right. So yeah, things have changed now, and that I think people are getting too soft. But I don't agree with violently hitting children, not smacking them about. But I don't think a smack on the bum did you any harm. That's my opinion anyway.
What was the naughtiest thing that you got told off
for? Naughtiest thing. I think it might have been setting off the fire engine alarm, getting the fire engine out. We used to go to school, about 4 or 5 of us at the age of about 5, and walk by the fire station. And one day we decided we were going to set the alarm off. So we couldn't reach it. So one of us had to get down. Another one stood on the back, hit the glass, and it broke. And we run like anything, but we got caught and we got told off for it. And yeah, that's probably the worst thing I ever did. Yeah.
And you got told off for it as well?
Yes, we got told off. Yeah.
Was your mum more the same, or was she kind of a bit more amenable than your dad?
No, I think there's 4 children, so I think they had to correct us and they had to keep us in line. Us could have done anything, So if we broke a window once playing cricket, and we had to pay for the window to be repaired, so we didn't get any pocket money for a few weeks until we paid for it, and that was. We always used to play because after I was 5, I moved to Facet and that, and we had this bit of concrete, a bit of tarmac outside the end of the road, and there was no cars about, so we could play football, cricket, rounders, hide and seek. We was out there every night playing and that, and with our friends, big group of us, all the children around like, and that's how we spent our time. It was until we got called in about 8 o'clock at night. But in them days, you could be outside and that, and you were safe. Yeah.
So moving on to sort of like secondary school.
Yeah.
What were your experiences there? Any memories? Any stories?
Yeah, secondary school. I went to Fletton Secondary Modern School the first year it opened, and it was in the old grammar school at Fletton High Street. And I've been used to classes of about 30 and about four in the village school, about 4 or 5 classes. But when I went there, it was a different experience altogether. There was about 1,000 people there, and it was big. And it had you went to your form classroom, and then you had to move from there for registration, and you had to move from there to like the science lab or the technical drawing room or wherever, and French room, music room, all different rooms. And we're in a village school. We had the same classroom and that same teacher. And then we had a sports field a bit further away from the school, and swimming used to be at the London Brick Company swimming pool and that, and social club. And it was big and a lot more people, but I got on alright, and I've made some good friends there. Used to bike from home to there and come home for my dinner to Facet like. Yeah, it was good.
What did you want to be? Did you have any thoughts of like what you do when you're older?
Not really, no. I feel I weren't very ambitious at all, and everybody was going to be carpenters, so I decided I've got to be a carpenter. And I got an interview for a job as a carpenter when I was 14, and in the interview, the boss said, "Yeah, you can have a job. When can you start?" I said, "Well, I was going to have a week's holiday with the parents and that." "No," he said, "you've been at school. You don't need an holiday." So I packed up school at 3:30 on a Friday and started work 7:30 the next morning, Saturday. I worked, yeah. And so I didn't get any break at all. And I started 7:30 in the morning. So I had to bike from Facet to school, to work, which used to take me about just over half an hour. It was at Padham Road in Peterborough. And I started there when I was 14, nearly 15. And I'd done an apprenticeship, not as a carpenter, I was a sheet metal worker. And then I came charge hand of a sheet metal shop. There was about 6 or 7 people there I was in charge of. And then I got foreman of the old works, and then assistant works manager. And in the end, I finished up as works manager of the old works. There's 80 people there.
How old were you? How long have you been there?
I was 21 then. Yeah, I ran it for years.
It's quite an achievement.
Yeah, because I used to have to do all the ordering of all materials, and we used to buy tons and tons of steel and that. And I used to have to order it and make sure it come in on time and that, and manage the 80 blokes. I had about 40 welders and paint sprayers and carpenters and sheet metal workers, yard crew and all that. Yeah.
What was the metal for? Was it
to make trailers out on? We used to do agricultural trailers, a full range of agricultural trailers, and we used to do one-offs and specials and that. We built some trailers to carry the escape chutes of jumbo jets and that. And there was little trailers, and they had one in each one. They had to be padded, and they used to tow them one behind the other out to the aircraft and put them on. And then when they wanted cleaning, they used to take them off, put them in these trailers, tow them back to the workshops and that, and clean them and service them. Yeah, we made some little trailers for Odd Points down Salter Road, and there was to carry the refrigeration boxes of the refrigerators, the freezer boxes, and I used to hold about 50 in each one, and we made about 10, 15 trailers, and we delivered them on a Saturday morning, and Sunday we had a fire and destroyed the whole lot. We had to start again. Odd Point, where we delivered them, they had the fire, so they reordered some more. We had to rebuild them. But we used to do all sorts of trailers. We used to do trailers to carry people about Woburn Abbey. We towed them with a tractor, and we could anything, any sorts of trailers to carry safes and that, and cable drum trailers to carry great big cables and that, and, dumper trailers, lorry trailers. We just build anything. Yeah.
What made you at 21? What made you want to kind of leave that place?
I didn't leave till I was about what was it? I'd done 17 years though, so 15, 20. Yeah, I was about 23, 24 when I left. They made us all redundant. We got took over by a company called Esther, and it was a big company. They made fire engines and buses and telephone vans and all that. And they took us over, and they decided to move our production up to Leeds. I was offered a manager's job in Leeds, but I didn't want to move away. So I decided to start my own company with a friend of mine, well, a work colleague. He was a welder, and I'd been a sheet metal worker. And we started our own little business up. And we got a workshop around the Merville estate and that. And they gave us a break because they decided to didn't want the industrial trailers, so we made all their one-offs and specials, and they just wanted the agricultural trailers, and that gave us a start. Yeah.
And how was it? Was it difficult to start setting up your new business?
Yeah, it was to start with because we'd only got our redundancy money, and once that ran out, that was it. And so we had to make some money quickly to start with to get us going, and we made a couple of trailers and sold them locally, and then the local farmers, they wanted things altering or making, so we made them. And there was about 15 other businesses on that estate, and a lot of them came to us to make things for them. And there was one company that made greenhouse heaters and gas heaters and that, and we made all the stands for them. That was a good help. But, yeah, and in the end, we employed 2 apprentices, and we had an agency who used to look for projects and that, and they used to see trailers and come to us and say, could you build these trailers, how much it's going to be and that, and how long, and we used to say, yeah, we'll do it in 3 weeks or so, and it costs so. And they'd go back to their customer, and it could be in Saudi Arabia, or it could be anywhere, and they said, yes, you can build them. So we ordered all the stuff, and we built these trailers. We did one for the governor of Malta. He had a trailer, and we did some for the island of St Kitts and St Vincent, and we did 6 trailers, and they was to carry bananas and flour, and then to the ship, and then flour, wheat and that too on the way back, and then they'd be turned into flour, and that'd be shipped out as well. So his traders had to carry bananas, flour, all sorts. Yeah.
Slightly different off point question. Do you remember much about your grandparents or great grandparents?
I don't remember great grandparents, but I remember my gran. She lived in the village at on Broadway, but I don't remember granddad at all. I think he died when he was about 4, when I was about 3 or 4, and he had a good shrapnel wound in his side from war, and he died from that, and I don't remember him. But my grandmother, yeah, I used to do errands for her. I used to take her order to the co-op each week on a Saturday morning, and they'd deliver her groceries in the week and that. And I used to dig a garden for her, and she got 3 wells. She's got 3 wells in the garden, and they all have water in, yeah, because I mean, there's no running water. It was after a little while, but before that it was all from a well, and they used to have a pump on the village green, and you used to go there with buckets and take your water back to your house.
Is that the same one that's opposite
Yeah, that's it, yeah.
Market?
Yeah.
Wow. And what you mentioned, your granddad had a shrapnel wound. Was that from the first World War?
Yes, yeah. And he died.
He died from it?
Yeah. He lived so long, but then, I think infection probably killed him. Yeah. And I remember my aunties and that living there, and because I was younger than my dad. And then she had a lodger then, took in a lodger because she was living on her own, and he lived with her for a number of years. Yeah.
What did you always grow up with John? Because John was mentioning you guys have kind of been like going since school. You were together.
Yeah, I was at school with his wife Peter. She was in my class at school, but I didn't know John at that time because I lived at Fassett and he lived at Yaxley. So I didn't know John until he moved in next door to us when we got married 50 years ago. I knew Peter very well. Yeah. But they've been good neighbours over the years. Very good neighbours.
How long have you guys known each other now?
50 years. And I've known Peter 4 years longer, 54 years. Yeah. They've been good neighbours.
Tell me about Janet, about how you guys met. Your wife, Janet.
Yeah, Janet. We met at Janet's auntie's house. She used to come round. She used to work in a shop and she used to deliver groceries and that. And she'd come in her auntie's house, and I was with my best mate David, and he was her cousin. And she'd come in with these groceries and that with a big basket full, and I was eating my dinner and that, and I just spoke to her and that, and then a bit later on I was doing this Wendy house for David's cousins, and Janet's dad was there, and he says, I've got a door to put up on the porch. Do you think you put it up for me? So I says, yeah, I'll come and have a look. And it was this old door, and it didn't fit, and I had to make it fit, and no frame, I had to build a frame. And I was down there.
How old were you at this point?
I was about 20. So 22, I think, 23.
While you work at the Steelworks place?
Yeah, still Wheatley Trailers that way. Yeah, while still working there. Yeah, and I was down there at night doing this door, and I had to build the frame and fit the frame, and then I'd cut the piece off the bottom of the door to make it fit, and cut the piece off the side.
Right.
Yeah. I was putting up this door, and I had to alter it to fit, and I was down there several nights, and each night a little sister come out and says, my mum's made some chips, do you want to come in? And you just sit there eating them and that. And I was there about a week doing this door.
That was Janet used to come out?
No, her sister used to come out, and on the last Friday night, she come out, and I was down the side of the house, and I was just packing my tools away. I says, do you want to come out? I said, do you want to come to Speedway? She said, well, I'm not coming to Peterborough Speedway, they're second league. I used to go to watch Panthers. She said, I go to Kings Lynn, it's in the first league. Like. I said, oh, I'll take her to Kings Lynn then. So I picked her up on a Saturday night and took her to Kings Lynn Speedway, and her dad was there, and her brother was there, and lots of her friends. And I got into Speedway then. I've been watching it, Panthers and that, but yeah, it was good fun watching them bikes going around and seeing who was going to win and that. And
Speedway's bike racing?
Yeah, it's 4 bikes racing around the track, and there's 2 from each team, and you get points. You get 3 points for the first, 2 for the second, 1 for the third, and nothing for the last one. And then you get a program with the names of the riders, and you put down how many points they got. And then all the points are added up, and the one with the team with the most points wins.
How big was Speedway back then?
Oh, it's enormous. Lots of people going and that, and teams came from all over. And the team riders, they used to come with a motorbike on the back of the car, fixed on the back of the car. Yeah, and we went to London to see the world races and that there. And once when we was there, they said, everybody keep calm. There's been a report of a bomb placed in the stadium somewhere, but we don't know where it is, and it's more than likely an hoax. You can either leave calmly or stay where we are. So most of us stayed where we are and just carried on the night, and it didn't blow up. It was an hoax. So yeah.
And that was the first time you two went out?
Yeah. And we used to, there was she'd been to Speedway with her brother and that, and her friends for a long while before I met her. And we used to stop at the fish and chip shop in King's Lynn and have chips on the way home and that. And yeah, and then from there we sort of fell in love, and that was it. Yeah.
How long was it between that then and you guys getting married? How long did it take?
How long between? About 18 months, I think. Not very long. We was out on a picnic once with John's brother and his girlfriend and Lynn and his mum and dad, her mum and dad, and granny, and it was Janet's mum, Janet's dad, me and Janet, and then Janet's sister. Take 2 cars, and we just go out on a Sunday afternoon, and with food in the car, picnic, and we just park up somewhere in a gateway and that, and have a picnic, have a few beers and that, and then we went on to a pub at what is it called, near Handel, Ashton there. There's a pub called the Checkered Skipper. It's a real old thatched, the village is all thatched cottages and that, and was having a pint there, and somebody said, when are you getting married? So we said, oh, June. And then they said to Lynn, well, when are you getting married? I said, oh, round about time. And somebody said, why don't you have a double wedding? So that was where the double wedding come from. Yeah, we all got married together.
That was 50 years ago now. It's your 50th
yeah,
anniversary.
1972. Got married. Yeah.
And how has your life been together? Have kids and things?
It's been lovely. I wouldn't change a thing. If I had a life over again, I'd do the same again. Yeah, it was brilliant. Everything's fitted in lovely. Yeah. At our wedding, we had 150 people there, and because it's a double wedding, and me and Roy went and got the beer on a Friday night from the wholesalers. We bought barrels of beer, about 5 barrels of beer. We bought all the spirits we wanted. We bought bottles of beer. We bought soft drinks, and the bill come to £64 for 150 people to drink all night long. Yeah, that was back in 72. And we had beer left over, barrels of beer.
That must have been a lot of money back then.
Yeah, it was. But I mean, we paid for all this beer, and we had barrels left over. So the local pub, he bought the barrels back off us. So and give us some empty barrels to take back to our wholesalers. We had all the glasses from them as well. They give us, because we bought the beer, they give us glasses to loan like, and any breaks we had to pay for. But that was back then, yeah. We had the Owen School, in Ramsey, where Janet used to go to school, and that was about £10 for the night. The photographer, that was about £25, and then we had bouquets, 3 bouquets, one for each set of parents, my parents, Janet's parents and Lynn's parents, and we had buttonholes, we had bouquets for the brides and bridesmaids. I think that was about £12. Yeah. So, we had a good wedding. The only thing that didn't spoil it, but some people got annoyed because it was a double wedding. The photographer took all the photographs of like me and Janet, and then all the photographs of Lynn and Roy and all their people, and then same together, and that took a long while to take them photographs and get everybody in place, and they was all waiting to eat the tea. So some people were very happy. He said, "Come on, get them photographs over. We're hungry." But yeah, that was good.
What challenges have you faced, would you say, in your life, whether it's at work or family or at school or when you were a kid? Anything that pops to mind?
Challenges.
I asked John this question, and he was like,
Yeah.
"It's been okay actually. It's not been too difficult."
I suppose we did have challenges, but I can't. Nothing springs to mind. No.
It's been fairly plain sailing.
When I was at school, I used to have rabbits. Me and my friend, I said to my dad and mum, "Can I have a rabbit?" She says, "Go and ask your dad." So I went to the backyard. "Dad, can I have a rabbit?" "Oh, go on then, just one." So I got one rabbit, and when we got through more, I finished up with 85 rabbits in the end. We used to sell them for 2 shillings and sixpence to our friends at school, and that they used to come round after school and buy rabbits and that. And
85 rabbits?
Yeah, it's the most we had. Yeah, we used to have about 12 does and about 3 buck rabbits, and we used to breed them. We used to have between 12 and 14 each one, and we'd sell them to our friends and people from school.
You made it into a business?
Well, we didn't make no money on it. We used to sell them for 2 and 6 each, but we used to have to go out every night with a big sack and fill it full of dandelions or sour thistles to feed them on. We'd feed them in the morning, feed them at night, and that sack would be gone. And in dinner time, we used to come home from school and we used to buy rabbit pellets, oats and bran, mix it together, and they used to have that in the dinner time. But that used to cost you because you used to go to the bakery and buy all that. But we enjoyed it. We liked our rabbits and that, me and my mate, and we had them for about 4 or 5 years, I think, till I went to work and that, and then I couldn't keep them then. But yeah, that's what we used to do. We used to go and get bales of straw and hay to feed them and bed them down and that. And we used to have all these cages with them in. I think we used to have about 15 cages. Yeah. And we used to have a special cage where we used to put the mother and the little ones in, and it used to have a run on the back of it, so they could all be there and be safe. Yeah.
What about your dog Max? Tell us about your dog Max.
Oh, the dog Max. I think Janet wanted one more than me, but she'd had a dog and that when she was at home, and she says, "Oh, well, let's get a dog." So I said, "All right then." And it's just after her mum died, I think. And we went out to Holbeach. We asked David at the pet shop where was the best place to buy a golden retriever, because we wanted a golden retriever, because she used to have one at work where she was working the shop. I had one. And so we went out to Holbeach to pick one, and they'd had a litter of 8, and we wanted a boy dog, and it got 4 males and 4 female ones. So he brought the male dogs out, and he gave Janet one, I had one, Tracy was with us, she had one, and he had the other one, and we were going to pick which one we wanted. So I said this one, and Tracy said, no, I want this one, and Janet said, oh, I'm going to have a one. So she picked one she got, and we had to leave him another week or so before I was old enough to leave the parents. So we went back and picked him up, brought him home, and he was lovely. He was so adorable. He was just a puppy and that. And I used to take him out, well, for a start, till he'd had his second vaccination. We couldn't put him on the floor outside, so we got the caravan down Eacham, and we was down there with him, and I had to hold him in my arms because I couldn't put him down in the stand and that because of the other dogs. And till he'd had his vaccination. And then he sort of grew up with us, and he was lovely, lovely dog.
He was a big dog, wasn't he?
He was, yeah, a really big dog. I used to take him out for a walk around the village in the morning before I go to work. And when he used to come home, I used to take him all around the fields and that. And I remember on, I think it was Tracy's wedding day, we'd all been to the wedding, and when we was at the reception, I'd come back and check on him and take him for a walk. So I changed into my old clothes. It's a good job I did. I took him down the fed and that, and let him off his lead. He went into this big dike, and it was nearly dry, but it was all black mud in the bottom. He got covered in black mud. I had to bring him back and put him on his lead and tie him to the post, clothes post, and get the hose out and hose him all down to get all this off him before I could go back to the wedding reception, yeah. And he was good with the children though. It was all, they loved him. And we had him, the saddest thing when he got cancer on his knee, and took him to the vet, and he got this lump, and they says, and it took it off and sent it away to be analysed. I come back and said it's cancer. It's an aggressive one, and so after a while it grew back on again. So and it started bleeding, and I had to bandage it up, keep him from tacking it, and we had put a t-shirt on him so he didn't bite the wound. And after a while, the vet said, sorry, said, we can't do no more for him. He said, take him home now and that, and bring him back tomorrow, and we'll put him to sleep. And it's really sad that I've got my cousins down here from Scotland, and sat on the patio in the summer, and I knew at 2 o'clock I got to take him, and I give him ice cream, everything he wanted, and give him treats and that, and then I had to take him to be, and it was so sad. Janet had the lock of his hair cut off, and she's got it in a locket, wears around her neck and that, and we had him cremated, and we got his ashes upstairs, and when we die, we're going to save our ashes till both of us are gone, and then we'll be scattered with Max. Scattered his ashes and ours together. Yeah, but he was a lovely dog. He'd come on holiday with us. We'd take him, and he'd have an adventure. He loved water and that. And he'd always like to get in the rivers and in the streams and that. He loved it. Yeah, I had him for 12 and a half years. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
My dog Max.
It was lovely.
Yeah. Got some lovely photographs of him, yeah. Yeah. And since then, no, I've not had another dog. We've got 2 cats now. 2 brother and sister. We're going to have one, and we come back up mine, so we have both of them. Yeah. I'm getting a bit too old to go out walking dogs, and I couldn't give them the attention they need and that. So I've got my cats. Yeah.
3 of them. What do you do these days? Like, what's your day to day like?
Well,
do you enjoy? You're in retirement now, aren't you?
yes, yeah, I'm in tried 10 years now, and I'm always busy. As you know, I cut all the lawns, and I've got my edges to cut, and do my gardening, and I do Janet's auntie's gardening, Ramsey. I cut her 4 lawns, and I just cut her edge, conifer edge, and I do that every week. Go down and cut the lawn. I cut the lawns out the back here, near the garages. I do some.
Because you're always busy, aren't you?
Yeah,
even now.
yeah. I make things and that, like planters and cat houses out there, and the arbours and things like that. And I've got to paint all the fences up and that. That's a big job. Uh, uh,
what would you say you miss most about, your childhood or, the olden days? Back when you had less responsibilities.
What do I miss? Yeah, my life at the moment is very relaxed and that, and I don't really miss anything. I've enjoyed my life and my children and that, and yeah, I can't say I've lived through the life and I've enjoyed it, and sometimes it's hard and that, but that's what life's all about. And I miss my caravan. I used to have a caravan down the coast, and we'd go down there every Friday night, come back on Sunday, and then we have holidays down there. Every holiday we go down there, and when we first started, there was we didn't have electricity in the caravans. We had gas lights and that, and gas cooker, and that was a big getaway. We'd go on a Friday night and have no television, no distraction. We just enjoy the company of, and Lynn and Roy, they got caravan down there as well, so we'd be with them, and that was nice for a while. And then we got a bigger caravan with electric in it and television and all that lot. And Janet's mum and dad used to come with us, and because they bought the first caravan, and then the children came along, and well, we got the children. There was they used to like it down there, and then the grandchildren come along, and they used to like it down there. Yeah, and we used to go every weekend and every holiday we could, and that's probably what I miss. I miss it for the children as well, because.
Do you still have the caravan?
No, we had to sell it. No, it got too old, and they said you can have 1 more year here, but we're going to shift you off the side of the site onto the middle, and then it's got to go. You've got to spend up to about 30,000 for a new caravan. And we thought, do we buy one? We looked at caravans, and we said, no, we'd build this extension instead. Because caravans, after a while, like we paid, I think the most we paid was about 17,000 for one. And then when, after about 10 years, they said, we'll give you 750 quid for it. And we looked after the caravan, we washed and polished it, we cleaned it, and there's nothing wrong with it. But because of the shape of the roof, it weren't fitting in with all the new caravans, it had to go. So we either bought another caravan or we got off. So all the grandchildren have been down there, but for Lily, she weren't born. So I miss it for her, because all the other grandchildren really loved it, and she would have done. But probably that's one of my most regretful things. But yeah.
Sounds awful. Whereabouts on the coast was it?
It was at Eacham, next to Unstanton, just outside of Unstanton, yeah. Yeah, so it was a bit cheaper than being in Unstanton, but it was only a couple of minutes in the car to get to Unstanton. So we just go there, we just go do shopping and that, and in Unstanton, and we used to take kids up there, play the slot machines and that, get an ice cream, fish and chips. Yeah, play on the beach and that, go on the donkey ride. Yeah.
It's not too far either, is it?
No, we could go an hour's drive away on a Friday, so we'd pack everything up, go and fetch Janet's mum and dad, and we could be down there with the kids and that, and in an hour, and then you got Friday night, all day Saturday, and come home about tea time Sunday. Yeah, your suit is fine.
Sounds lovely. Sounds like you've had a really, really.
Nowadays we go have cottages and that, and we've been to Yorkshire, and we've been all over Devon and Cornwall, the Lake District, Peak District, and this year we're going to Scotland for 2 weeks, 2 different cottages, and we're going up Inverness for the first week, and then we're going down to just outside of Edinburgh for the second week. And we'll go all over the place. We've got Loch Lomond and Loch Ness and all the lochs. And we're hoping to go on the Royal Yacht Britannia. We've been on it, me and Janet, but the children and grandchildren, so I haven't taken them on there. It's lovely. That is. Yeah, we spent some time on there, seeing all the different decks of the ship, with the crew, the laundry, the hospital, the kitchens, and the engine room, and then the royal stateroom, where she had banquets and that when she was on tour and that, different countries. And we see her office and the Duke's office, and her bedroom and the Duke's bedroom, and then there are 2 cars, 2 Rolls Royces on the deck in special containers, and they could be lifted off and dropped onto the quay and that for when she's on state visits, and she could get in the Rolls Royces and go off. And we see the band's quarters where they, because there was a Grenadier Guards band on there, and they played like up and down the quay and that music for the state people, and their quarters, they used to have all their instruments in their quarters with them, and only little cabins, and one with a big bass drum, he didn't have much room in his at all because he had to have his drum man with him. Yeah. And they made fudge in the kitchens, and we had a sample of the fudge. We see the staircase, grand staircase, and they told us about when Princess Anne and Charles was on there. One of the crew members was assigned to each one to look after them, and they put this water slide up and that on the deck, and had pools and that for them, and yeah, we had a good time on there.
Would you say retirement's one of the best times in your life?
Yes, I didn't realise at the time, but since I retired, I can do whatever I like. I don't have to get up to go to work in the morning. I get up when I like, and I can do. It's such a relief not having to go to work, but I do miss all my friends at work, and I enjoyed my work and that, and things I did. But yeah, it's nice to be retired where you don't have to do anything, but you can do what you want. If I want to go out in my shed for a couple of hours, I can go out in my shed, or I can do a bit of gardening. I've got my garden at Tony's, it's a big garden. I've got potatoes and beans and all sorts of vegetables over there. And I've got fruit trees, 2 sorts of apple trees, and plum tree and a pear tree. And I've got strawberries and I've got raspberries. And I can do all that now, but I couldn't then because I hadn't got the time. But yeah, you've got time to relax, and if you want to sit out in the garden, you can sit out in the garden with a beer and that, but it's good. Yeah, but I still keep myself busy. I like to do things. Yeah.
Sounds wicked. We'll end on this then. If there's any is there any advice you'd give to your younger self, knowing, and having lived through what you've lived through now? there anything you'd like say to your younger self?
No, I think I would, if I went back to my life years ago, I would do the same again. I'm pleased with everything, how it turned out, how we got the house and Janet and that, and how our children brought them up and grandchildren come along. I'm really happy with my life, yeah. I'm really at peace and that, yeah. I like it. It wouldn't change a thing. No. Yeah.
Thank you very much for sharing everything, Ivan.
Yeah.
Yeah, if there's anything, any last things you want to say? Otherwise,
no, I think that's enough, yeah.
Brilliant. Thanks a lot, Ivan.
I hope it's been some use to you.
Yeah. That was really good.
Now you're going to edit it all out now.
I'll edit it all out, yeah.